My name is Adrian Nantchev, and this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So that's why I started this podcast, Become Remarkable, to find entrepreneurs, or not entrepreneurs, but people from around the world who have got stories to tell and experiences and inspiration to share. People that are doing remarkable things with their life. So today I have with me Rosemary Knight. So please, Rosemary, tell the world, who are you, what do you believe in, what's your story, and what difference are you making?
Okay, so hi, I'm Rosemary Nonny Knight, and I am, who am I? I am an ex-pharmacist, but now I am I suppose the easiest way to call it is a business and life strategist. So I work with generally entrepreneurs, sometimes people thinking about being entrepreneurs or creatives, so people with books, music, art, who want to put something out there in the world, and I support them in living out their purpose. I support them in making a difference. I'm very much about the fact that I do believe every single person is here on this planet for an absolute reason. I do think also that lots of people do not live that reason. If they're anything like I used to be, I was a pharmacist at one point. I'd kind of fallen into becoming a pharmacist as a result of the fact that it was what my parents wanted me to do. It seemed like a sensible job to have, and it was well paid. It was paid enough, but it wasn't the thing that I was called to do. I'd always had this big vision of impacting lots of people or influencing lots of people for something. I wasn't always completely sure what that something was. I just knew that I wanted to help people elevate to their full potential. And as I elevated myself from becoming a pharmacist, realizing that it wasn't the thing that I wanted to do, but keeping it going because, hey, you need to pay the bills, right? But then getting to the point where, there's a whole lot of backstory to this, but I got to the point where I was in a heck of a lot of debt, and I was pregnant with my first child and decided finally to give in and go bankrupt, which left me feeling very, very depressed. And so for the next 4 years or so, I decided to forget about every dream I'd ever had and sell all my personal development, give up life forever, just become a mother and a pharmacist, and that's it. But that didn't quite work out for very long. Or it did for a bit until I realized 4 years in, after having my third child, that I actually was still broke, and burying my head in the sand did not actually help anything. So I was either going to have to go back to working full time, or I was going to have to find a different way. So at that point, I found a different way, went into real estate, learned a lot. Worked with some mentors, worked with some coaches, paid out money. I did not have to do this. Whatever this dude told me to do, I did in that first year. And then I got myself a Porsche Boxster and Businesswoman of the Year. Started working with other people to help them start their businesses. And then started helping entrepreneurs go online because I went online. And then here we are. And suddenly the vision started to develop as I realized, because I had a coach who asked me, what do you really want to do? And I said, well, I would like to be a coach. It's something I'd considered, but I didn't think it was feasible until I was about 72. And he's like, why don't you start now? So then I started, because people were already asking anyway. So I started helping them out with their businesses. Started realizing that actually this was what I wanted to do with my life. And from then on, here we are. Here we are. I have something I call Project 334K, which is 334,000 people worldwide being empowered to reach financial independence as well as freedom in all areas of their life and to make a dent on the planet, because I do really believe that it is the regular person that needs to suddenly realize who they are. And as they do that, we can, I know it's so big, change the world, basically. That is my big idea. So that's me.
Yeah, wow, that's a lot going off there. That's pretty cool, pretty ambitious. With regards to, what were you called to do? The way I see it now is we have inside us like a natural barometer, so to speak, which is like I call it the perfect you. Where
yes.
it might be like years ago before you even imagine what you could do now. Every now and then there's a flash of inspiration where you were down here, but then suddenly you realise that you attained like up here for maybe a split second in a day or a month or once a year, something like that. But that up here now is like you on a bad day or something, or you on not a particular good day. But it's like this flash of inspiration where your barometer just shifts suddenly into this is who you are. This thought process, something along here, that's you, as the perfect balance. And then because it's not fully attained or not supported, it just goes back to where you currently are. And then over time you realise you have to make that barometer change by actions or thoughts or ideas or concepts, and something that you change. It's something internal that you go through. I had this for university, where 2/3 through it, just going from a second to third year, I started a niggling feeling, gently moving, to say, this is not really me. I'm more of a leader, not a follower. Not so much I'm more of a striver, a pioneer, a manager. I'm not so much behind the scenes. I'm more at the forefront. And that's what I started to realise. This isn't quite me. I'm more something else. And I find that when there's no distractions, when there's no deadlines, no work, just things like that, it's easier to stop and just think. Just think, what am I? What am I doing? This is what I want to do. And just taking new ideas that helps to change and challenge and shift your belief to become the person that you really want to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yes, I suppose I did have that shift. I'd kind of always known for a while what I was supposed to be doing, but it seemed too big. It seemed too big. And so I just settled for what I felt was more reasonable to do. Except reasonable doesn't always fulfill. And reasonable leaves you feeling, I would say lots of people walk around with a low-level depression because they are not living the life they're supposed to be living because they haven't made that shift. And maybe they haven't had they haven't taken the time to think it through, or they haven't had the support of anyone to say, hey, what do you actually want to do? Because for most people, it is a case of, hey, just do whatever is in front of you. Just, respond, keep reacting and reacting and reacting, rather than what do you really want your life to be about, rather than just reaction to whatever is happening around you. There'll always be stuff happening around you. What do you want your life to be about? That needs to be a separate conversation in some ways, and you need to walk into it. It's a choice.
Yeah, so what did you actually want your life to be about, and what were you called to do?
For me, my calling is literally what I call Project 334K as of right now. I suppose my big calling is literally just to keep impacting people, to help them to live to their full potential, help them see what is possible, and help them, start to recognize that it's possible. My immediate mission is Project 334K. Now, I believe that when I get to 334,000 people that I've impacted in this way, then it will get bigger. Right now, that is the thing that I'm working towards. It literally is helping people to tap into that innate part of them that, for the most part, is shut down, or it's kind of fit into the crevices of their life, around their jobs, around their family, around their all of that stuff. So I do feel particularly called to wake people up, really. And I suppose that's what I'm doing. And in fact, I feel quite privileged to be able to do that right now. It did take some doing, but we got there, basically. Really, because I had the same exact issues, thinking, is it possible for me to do this? But yeah, here we are. I do it. I sing, I speak, I write, I invite. That's what I call it. My 4 things. Invite.
Sing,
speak, write, invite.
Interesting combination.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why it was interesting even for me, because I consider myself very practical. So when I started thinking, but I want to sing and I want people to do this stuff, it's like, how are you supposed to? How can anybody take you seriously if you're singing and then telling them you can help them make money? Really?
Nah,
then I found the courage to do it. And you realize, actually, anything is possible if you're committed.
Yeah, of course it's possible. Initially, my purpose with this channel, with this personal brand, was to help 100,000 people, 100,000 entrepreneurs become remarkable.
Cool.
Because about a year ago, I realised, without going too much of it on a tangent, but not enough people are living a life what they want to do. They're not becoming remarkable. They're not remarkable enough.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of time and talent and what's called human capital, and it's like it's a loss to the civilization, to mankind. And it's like the mission is to help 1 million people, 1 million entrepreneurs become remarkable. Initially, I was thinking 100,000. Well, yeah, okay. But I thought, hang on a minute. Let's make it bigger, because the bigger it is, the easier it is to attain, oddly enough.
Yeah.
And how do we quantify that? Is, well, whenever someone says something, like a message or a tweet or a comment, whatever, that's, thanks, you've changed my life around. That's it.
That's how you measure it. Cool.
Yeah, print screen that. Print it off, maybe stick it on a board or a phone board or in a somewhere visible. I don't know, frame it, something like that, and say that's one down. 999
999.
to go.
Yes.
Something like that.
Cool. I like that idea, actually.
Thank you very much.
I might steal it.
It's all right.
I love that.
That's okay. That's all right. So you also spoke about we all have a reason. We all have a reason to do things. So what was your reason?
Yeah.
What was the ignition that sparked you to start this and going from a real estate agent and to this?
Yeah.
Or what was the ignition exactly, please?
What was the exact ignition?
Yeah, or the process of it, or the thinking behind it. What happened?
Yeah, so I suppose for me to start with, why I left my career to go into business at all. To begin with, my biggest why was literally my children, my daughters. What I wanted for them was, one, they needed to have a mother who gave up the question, because, okay, for women, I feel that they currently come to a point in their life where you have to ask, am I going to pursue my career and work, or am I going to have children? I didn't want them to ever ask that question. I have 3 girls. I thought, you know what? I want to figure out a way that I can show them that they don't have to do that. They don't have to fall into a job if they don't want to. They can literally look after themselves. That was one of my reasons. And then the other reason was literally that I wanted to hang out with them. I wanted to home educate my children. And so that was the thing, because before my children, I had dabbled at a heck of a lot of businesses, because I've always known that I'm supposed to do my own thing. I've always known that I'm not, just like you said, that I'm not to just be told how much I'm worth. I'm not to be told where I need to be, when I need to be there, and all that stuff. That I've always known that, but I've never had the courage or didn't have the courage to stick with anything before I had my kids. When I had my children, and that they became my big reason, I will find a way to stay home with these children and at the same time create an income. So that was my big thing. So whenever anything got tough, I'd look them in the eye and think, no, I'm not going back to work, man. So that was that. But then I got to that point where, yes, I did get to the place where I was able to completely more than replace my income. And my coach says, Rosemary, you can stop working now. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm there. Basically, I was like, oh, well, great. Okay, but now I want to do something that really means something to me. And as I said, I suppose, I don't know, I've always had this picture of being in front of a huge crowd of people and somehow revving them up and helping them move forward somehow. But again, it just seemed like just one of those things. And literally, I can remember thinking about this when I was about 7 or 8. Practicing my Michael Jackson moves, just in case that was the thing that I was going to do in front of this crowd of people, because I didn't always know exactly what I was going to be doing. I just knew that somehow it was going to be, it's going to elevate people in some way. And then around about 2005, again, I remember having another vision around, because I'm a very spiritual person as well. I remember having another vision around it, saying I just had this vision of being on the stage in front of lots of people, really helping them to move forward. But again, how is that supposed to work? I don't know. I thought it was something to do with music, but I'm thinking I don't really want to be a full-time singer or anything like that. And so then getting to the point of more than replacing my income as a pharmacist and thinking, okay, I can leave my pharmacy now. And I've started helping people with their businesses and realizing that actually this is what I love to do. The only part of pharmacy I'd even loved was sitting down with a patient and going through their medication and talking through with them how they could get off it or how they could optimize it. And I suddenly realized that that's exactly also what I like to do with coaching, was working with people, really reaching into their hearts and helping them get past their obstacles and their blocks. And because I myself had been brought up in poverty, really, I was brought up in Nigeria, and had gone through a heck of a lot of stuff around fear, and so that's why I'd wanted the safe life. So when I started making this transition by helping people, speaking to them, really seeing the things that blocked them. And I realized I had a knack for unblocking people. And this was something I'd been doing at church as well. But again, it was free. It wasn't something I was doing as a job. I didn't think I could until this coach said to me, you can. Okay. And so that suddenly, okay, let's give this a go. And it's been a transition because we didn't get to singing at the start. That's for sure. Singing was one of those things I was like, yeah, that's kind of crazy. You just don't fit it in. But I realized that I had to be completely me. I wanted to wake up in the morning and know that I was going to be completely who I was and call other people to do exactly the same thing. And so it has been a transition. There wasn't any moment when I can say, okay, that was it. but there was a knowledge always that this was the work that I was supposed to do. It was almost like spirit, universe, God, higher power, whatever, was waiting for me to finally say, okay, I will do it, even if it sounds crazy. I will just kind of just decide that it's going to work. And sometimes that's it. It's a decision.
Yeah, definitely. And when you start to actively pursue it, the whole world changes for you. It moves for you. Things happen. That's why I create so much content, to make that thing happen sooner and more of them. Because also just create more content than I consume. Share. And then it all compounds and it grows. And,
absolutely.
With regards to your call, you mentioned that the main why was your daughters. Now, I heard that having children changes everything, and that there's no perfect time to have children in general.
No. Well, no, there isn't. You finally decide that you're going to have them, and you have them. Basically, for me, it was, I suppose I got to about, 25, 26, 27 or something, and I'm thinking, because I delayed it, thinking, I need to change the world first. But the truth is, I look back at that time, and I realized I was just messing around. Truth be told, I was messing around, telling myself I was doing all kinds of things, but actually I was cowering in fear. It was having children that suddenly they gave me a big reason to, okay, get serious about this. It's one thing to talk about it, and I am a good talker. It's one thing to talk about it, and it's another thing to actually really buckle down and do it. And that really changed that for me, that despite, because it was anyway, you know how it is in business sometimes, it can be quite soul. Oh my goodness, you can go through really interesting times when you're building a business. And it was my children that kind of kept me going through that part. Beyond, as soon as as I met that first why, it's just the vision. The vision keeps me going now. But in terms of having the children, in terms of coming back to the question you asked, there's no perfect time to have children. You have children when you're ready to have children, and you fit them in wherever you choose to. They become part of your life. For me, I see life, business, everything as one thing. I don't see it as little compartments here, there, and everywhere, and children over there, and husband over there. And then no, it's all one life. So I see my business as part of my life. I see it as one thing. And that's, in fact, I think that's the way everybody needs to live. Not, this is when I do my work and this is when I do my life. No, it's one thing. So my children are part of what I do. So yeah, for me, having children was just, okay, it's time. Let's just get on with it. Basically, there's no perfect time to do anything. So you start the moment you decide that you're going to.
Yeah, it's all integrated together.
Absolutely. I do think life needs to be that way. All this work-life balance thing is not my thing. Basically.
Integrated.
Yes.
Tomorrow is Thursday. Doesn't feel like it. Just another day to me.
It is
which is
another
good,
day.
really. Exactly.
Yes.
Speaking of integration, with regards to your speaking, how is the speaking going? Where are you speaking?
For me, most of my speaking at the moment takes place on Facebook. I'm very much of a live streamer. So I'm there every single day doing that. Every so often I do things like this, like interviews, because I have decided to keep my life as much online as possible. The occasional times I go offline, that it's fine. If someone invites me to come speak, then I will go do that. Or, it's mostly if people invite me. Because, yes, I'm very much about flexibility. I don't ever want to feel I have to be anywhere doing anything. So I don't actively go look for things offline that mean I have to be, it's like I used to do a lot of my business building in offline networking and things like that. I decided no, that I want a business that is very flexible. I'm very much about freedom. And the freedom, that's another reason why I even home educate my children, is that we can just up and go whenever we want to, which is sometimes easier said than done, but it generally is the idea. I don't like being told I have to be anywhere. But at the same time, if it was a speaking engagement, then I would do that. But speaking for me, it's mostly on Facebook live streams and a lot of the products I put together. And I have a club called the Deliberate Millionaire Fast Track Club. I do a lot of supporting people in there over live stream again. And I suppose I talk about business growth, entrepreneurship, as well as mindset issues and tapping into your intuition, that kind of a thing. That's usually what my conversations are around, and making sure that you're living a life of calling as opposed to just making money, ultimately.
A few years ago, as I started my first business, nothing was really happening. Well, actually, just before I started the first business, actually, I was doing this this course that this charity had in the UK called Access to Business. Yeah. I remember them showing me a chart of this fictional company and how it grows, how it grew over the past year or something, the profits-wise, and looked at the number going higher and higher. Yeah. And back then I was thinking to myself, I'll never see that. I'll never see that. And this is like August 2014 kind of thinking. Yeah. And as I started my first business, I used to think like two things that are ludicrous now looking back at them. Very ludicrous. First one is like saying, oh, it's okay, I'm cursed. I'm not able to make money anyway. I'm cursed. So it's like an endless negative feedback loop where there's like, I'm powerless to change it. The other one was, it's okay, I'm not allowed to make money anyway. I've not been given permission. These things that were, things that were there. Fortunately, these are completely destroyed when I started my second business, and and what's even interesting is that as I started my second business, they were never present. There was no fear. As a case study, it was just had the idea on a Monday. By Friday, decided yes, I'm going to do it. By next Friday, the equivalent of, or 2 weeks later, by next Friday of, it would have been up and running. And it's like there was no fear, there was no doubt. There was just like, what's next? Okay, thinking, strategizing, planning. Organising, okay, done, next, get started. Yeah. So I hit the goal, and it's like, cool, completely changed. The blocks are gone. So excellent. This was 2 years ago, just over. So yeah. And speaking of goals as well, your writing. You mentioned your writing. So how's the writing going, and what are you writing about precisely and exactly?
It's exactly the same thing. Everything that I do comes back to how can I support people in getting to financial independence and get internal emotional blocks and all of that kind of stuff that, like you mentioned there, their lack of belief in the fact that they can actually do what they set their mind to do or make money doing it, more to the point. So that's most of my writing. So I have a blog, that's rosemarynonnynight.com. I have written about 12 books on Amazon. So they're all there. The Deliberate Millionaire, various different ones, basically. So they're all on there. And I think back to finishing my final year projects and doing my postgraduate degree in pharmacy and all of this stuff, and how difficult it was to write then. And now suddenly, I am a content machine, if I do say so myself. And it's so easy to create stuff when it comes down to what you believe in and what you're passionate about. So I do a lot of writing on Facebook. There's a heck of a lot of content on there as well. So I'm very much about content creation and support people in doing that. Nowhere near as much as I do. Not many people want to write as much as I do, at least not at the start. Even I didn't think I could write as much as I did at the start. It took just practice and unleashing myself, instead of feeling that I had to write in a certain way, just actually express myself however it comes out. And then suddenly you're able to create a heck of a lot more stuff, which appeals to the people that I'm to. So in which case that works. So in terms of writing, it's blogging. It's of course I do a lot of products to help my people move forward, and I write lots of books which I put on Amazon at the moment. So that's what I do.
Yeah, I'll have to include your Amazon author page in the links below in the description.
Cool, excellent.
And I'm actually writing my second official book right now, and I'm planning to finish it by Christmas of 2017-18. I say official because in spring of 17, I actually went out and wrote about 16 other small miscellaneous books. Excellent. 30 to 100 odd pages. I think things like that on Amazon and Kindle and all the rest. Just because I wanted to create a lot of stuff, and now it's like, okay, we're scaling that back, and now reverse engineering and salvaging or now upcycling, that kind of stuff. And the next book I'm writing is all about content creation, oddly enough, and cool. How the attention avalanche, endlessly create more content to engage and convert more customers. So I'm just doing that at the moment, and then I'm thinking, what's the book I'm going to after it? and I'm thinking of doing something with personal brand, but nothing yet. Just I want to finish this one first.
Yeah.
So I will include your author Amazon page with all the books there. And
cool.
you also mentioned it briefly, belief.
Yes.
Earlier you mentioned you're quite a spiritual person, and you mentioned that you alluded to going to church. So could you explain about your spirituality and what you believe?
Okay, so I was brought up, well, first of all, Catholic, and now I'm Christian, which to me it's the same thing. To some people it's completely different. But in some ways that doesn't really matter. I do believe everybody, well, not everybody, some people acknowledge the fact that they're spiritual, and I would consider myself more spiritual than religious. I don't really like necessarily the term religion, because I do think that even for me it was a holdback for a very long time, thinking that God doesn't want you to do stuff, or God will punish you for doing God knows what. And I, in fact, is one of those beliefs that I help people with to break free of, because a lot of people actually hold themselves back from being in business or making money in business with the call on their life, because they think it should only be reserved for their Christianity or their religion or something along those lines. And if they try to make money there, God is going to send a lightning bolt down from heaven. And unfortunately, people actually do believe that, because I did for a while. So I know it's very true. And I've worked with people to kind of break free of some of these really controlling environments where they are held back from that. So in fact, I consider it one of the things that I'm particularly good at, because I had to break free from myself and question a heck of a lot of stuff that is dogma around religion, and free myself from it in order to actually do the work that I'm here to do. And I help people do that. So in terms of what are my beliefs? Yes, I believe I would still consider myself to be Christian, but overall, I'm more spiritual than anything else. I don't feel the need to make anybody be anything, but I do feel the need. I do think it's absolutely essential that people have a spiritual practice of some sort, whether it's meditation, whether it's reading their spiritual book or whatever, because I do think it gets people back in touch with their intuition. It gets people back in touch with the wisdom within them. I do think that is the key for a lot of people to step into their full potential, is when they recognize that there's a heck of a lot of wisdom within them that they're not tapping into yet, which to me is a spiritual thing. Others might just call it intuition, whatever. I don't really care what term people call it. Ultimately, I just know that we as human beings have access to incredible, unlimited wisdom and wealth and abundance and all of that stuff that we generally tend to switch ourselves off from. So I do think that everybody needs to have some kind of a spiritual practice. That for me, first thing in the morning, I would say, if you're in my community, that's one of the things I would say to you as a client, is you need to develop some kind of quiet yourself down so that you can get back in touch with your creator, with your intuition, because that is where your most effective, most accelerating self is going to come from, to me. So that is, I suppose, that in terms of the work that I do, that is my big belief, that spirit is speaking, intuition is speaking all the time. Most people are not listening because we're trying so hard to find the step-by-steps. I'm not saying we don't learn those, we learn those, but when it comes down to it, when you need to apply something, you apply it based on what feels right to me. I ask my clients to always ask the question, what is the best thing I can do next to get to my goal? And then to tap into that intuitive feeling within them and act on it, because it's not enough just to ask the question and, oh, that sounds great, I'll just sit here and do nothing. Basically, I'll wait for some spiritual magic bullet to come and save me. No, it's to take full responsibility for then moving forward based on what bubbles up inside of you. So yeah, I'm very much a what is bubbling up inside of me kind of person. Yes, I invest in learning a heck of a lot of stuff, but then at the same time, when it comes to the application of it, I have to tap into source within me. And I show people how to do that as well. So that for me is my thing around spirituality.
Yes, some really interesting concepts there. Yeah, dogmatic views. No, you don't want that. I think every year you want to get rid of one extreme belief, because the extremes of any kind of all sorts are not really helpful, because the kind of what I was talking about earlier with that barometer is, if it's one way to the other, it's not very helpful, and when it's in the middle, it's in the perfect area. What, oddly enough, ancient philosophers or Greek philosophers would call the golden mean, the perfect balance, not too hot, not too cold, not too far, not too close. What's mathematically expressed as 1.618, which I'm not quite sure what that means exactly, but the point is, that perfect area, avoiding extremes. And when you avoid extremes, you inadvertently or purposely, you get rid of dogmatic views. And that dogmatic views helps you, as I said earlier, when you're not distracted, to realise your full potential. And lately, or coming in the next few weeks or so, I'm starting to get into meditation with the God. You said the inner power and accessing that wisdom and switching it on. And I've come to realise that this is interesting, where I didn't quite used to believe that things happen for a reason, but I still don't quite believe that. But I think everything happens, and coincidentally, we can profit and benefit from it somehow.
Yes, you can.
It seems to be that I've been talking to a good mate of mine that started to get into meditation and that kind of stuff. I said that past 8 months or so, year or so, starting to get into it, and interesting concepts and ideas about realizing who you are and realizing your own potential. And I think transcendental meditation, along with things like raga yoga and jnana yoga, some interesting cool concepts to really.
I know nothing about those, but
I know very little about it as well. I know very little as well, so that's all right. So.
I know nothing about those, but I definitely do feel that even if you don't call yourself spiritual in that way, I think even just having a practice where you're meditating, you will find yourself tapping into something that is sometimes beyond you, ultimately. Because I do believe, I believe spirit is always speaking to whoever, frankly, so it doesn't matter whether you like it or not. There are some things that are just like gravity. Whether you like it or not, gravity exists. So that is my thinking around it. So I don't feel the need to convert anyone to anything, because I think, you know what, if you will quiet yourself down, you will find that you're tapping into things that it's like, I don't even know where that came from. And you don't have to acknowledge it. It's just there. It is just there. And I do think when you start meditating on a regular basis, you'll find that you do get some benefits from doing that. Because I'm more of a journaling kind of girl. So I journal and I really tap into source and just really write out what I feel I'm hearing and all of that kind of stuff, which I know is kind of woo-woo and weird. But then at the same time, I also see the impact it has on people when I'm working with them. So I don't care whether it's woo-woo or weird anymore, basically. I do. So I do think that the beliefs, dogma particularly, needs to be questioned. I have the saying, the truth stands up to scrutiny. So if there's anything you're too scared to question, then maybe you need to question it, because that could be something that is holding you back from actually playing full out. And I do know that religion can really hold people back. It may have started as a good thing, I don't know, but I think it's more of a control thing, or it can be a control thing if you're not being very conscious about what you choose to believe, ultimately. I mean, there are certain beliefs I cannot explain to people, but I choose it, as opposed to I just fell into it because my parents did it, or one day I had an experience and now whatever any person that stands at the front and sounds amazing says to me is now the truth. I don't think so. The truth always stands up to scrutiny. You don't need to defend it. And sometimes religion becomes something that people are defending rather than something that they're living out. And so I'm very much about, no, let's question this stuff, because this stuff could be holding you back from a freedom life. And you want a freedom life, so anything that questions and falls down, leave it alone. Basically, stick with the stuff that stands up to scrutiny.
Yeah, because it filters through.
Yeah.
And speaking of journal, I started a journal about a year and a half ago. I forgot about it recently, up until a few days ago. But it's called Adrian's Success Journal, to remind me of my victories. 21st of April 2016. I've got a big thing about dates, so I like writing the date. So in the future, you look back and think, wow, a lot has changed.
Cool. Exactly.
And on the front cover, it more or less says, "My Success Journal. Whenever I feel down, read through this journal to remind yourself of past victories, obstacles overcome, and problems solved, and a patchwork of my life. Adrian Nantchev, 25th of April 2016. And the first entry, because the whole principle is to go through this journal and remind yourself of the things you've been successful at. And the first, this is what was recommended to me as well, when starting this journal, was number 1, I was born, 30th of August. Against all the odds, and I shan't go into the details exactly explaining that, but life is opportunity, and to have life, I have opportunity. And that's what I kind of believe life is all about as well, because the chances of our existence is incredibly slim. And to put it in a very crude, if you don't mind me saying so, Rosemary, very crude but very effective way. Had the father ejaculated one more time, that sperm cell that was eventually you would not have been fertilized.
Fertilized, yes.
Yeah, so the chance of you even existing is very slim.
It's very slim.
Therefore, life is opportunity. Opportunity to do things, remarkable things, become remarkable. Become remarkable,
and that's where you come from. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree, yes. I'm very much into journaling. I do journal about everything, but yes, it's mostly the writing out of who I choose to be every single day. Who do I choose to be? What do I choose to do? What do I choose to have? So I write that stuff down every single day. It used to be me moaning and groaning, but now it's more about me declaring and deciding, this is what I'm creating right now. This is who I am now. So, yeah.
Yeah, but the difference is that I'm not much of a journal person. I'm more of a write the book about it once every few months, and it's like, here's all these new concepts I've learned. Check it out. Things like that. I tried to get into journaling, but I don't know. It's not really me. I suppose I'm more of an audio speaking kind of person. That's why I do these videos to teach, because they'll be online forever, and it's like people will find it.
Absolutely. I started my journals actually for my daughters, so that I would, when they got older, one, they'll know that their mother was a human being. I went through the same stuff that they did. But then it's just kind of progressed into, actually, I can use this to write out my life, to write out what I choose to create. And it's quite incredible that things that you write down suddenly become things that are. So it's pretty cool. But yes, so in terms of beliefs, that's the spiritual practices of some sort. I feel everybody needs to have some kind of something around that. In terms of other beliefs, actually, I was just thinking as we were talking about this, one of the other things that I help people with is around their family stuff. Now, having been brought up in Africa, and there are very strong traditions and cultural things that can also hold people back. So that's another area where it's like, okay, your relationships, are they helping you or are they hindering you? It is comparable to me to religion in that in some families, there can be such strong dogmatic beliefs or traditions that, again, keep people bound up. And so when it comes to financial independence, it's really hard to create that if you're following the tribal theme, ultimately. So that's just something else that I find particularly necessary to help people break free of, because it's one of the hardest things to do, is to actually stand against the family that you were born into at times. Not everybody needs to do this. It's just a lot of the people that I attract tend to need to do this, basically, ultimately. But probably because I had to work through some of these issues myself. So it's the kind of thing that I help people work with, and I generally tend to attract people who have issues with their families and such. And it's one of those areas where most people think they're very loyal to their families, even though it sometimes feels as if they want to kill each other. It's like giving people the choice. You don't have to do this stuff just because your tradition is that you do it. You don't even understand what it means, especially people like me that came from Africa. You come and live in the UK, and suddenly your family is expecting you to still do stuff the way they would have done it back home. And it's like, I'm sorry, what? But anyway, so these are things that, particularly the people that come into my world, and it's like you mentioned about your story, that some of your story can keep you down, or it can be something that actually moves you forward. So whatever crazy things you've been through, they may not be the reason that you can see immediately, but it can be used to propel you forward. Or it can be used to make you a victim. Your choice, basically. So it's things like that, anyway, that I help people with and work through, and stuff that I've had to work through myself in order to get to where I am. And now I help people do exactly the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I find that tradition is very dogmatic. It's just tradition for the sake of tradition. For
the sake of it, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And
nobody's questioned it for years.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
There's certain things I'm asked to do, like for my family, and I've had to find the courage to say, I have no idea why you're telling me to do that, so I'm not going to do it any longer. And I see lots of clients, sometimes they have to come to that point where, honey, stop saying yes just because you've done this for the rest of your life, or you've been doing this since you were born. Why are you doing it? Maybe you need to say no.
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
for some is actually quite revelatory because they didn't think they had a choice. They thought they had to do it. It's like, again, the truth stands up to scrutiny. Question everything.
Question everything, definitely.
Yes.
But Rosemary, as we begin to wrap up this podcast, you mentioned earlier that you had something bubbling up inside of you.
Yeah.
How do you think people can realise what's bubbling up inside of them?
Again, it will come back down to a spiritual practice of some sort. So like you mentioned, the whole meditation thing. What I do, I don't say meditation as such. What I'm more into is quiet yourself down first thing. For me, it's first thing in the morning, okay? For some other people, maybe it's some other time. But to me, I think that's the best time of the morning when the household is quiet. You can wake up, come downstairs or sit up in bed. I used to just sit up in bed. Quiet yourself down. Ask a question. So that's why I said I give clients that question. And then listen for the response. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like it is a bubbling up inside of you. It's like a spark inside of you when you're paying attention. But you have to pay attention. So and the other thing is you can't question it immediately. And that's where people sometimes, so they get ideas. It's like there are ideas everywhere. But then as soon as an idea pops into their head, they question practical. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, no. And so the idea disappears. And you do that enough, you stop getting ideas, you stop feeling creative because you've shut down everything. It's almost like an idea or a bubbling up it's a sensitive thing. If you say no too many times, it'll stop coming because like you don't want to actually receive me. So it is a case of quietening yourself down, literally. Try to shut down your thoughts as much as you can. I mean, our thoughts are always going. But then it's ask a question and see what comes up. Actually see what comes up because something always comes up. You kind of get this instinctive, okay, maybe I could do that. Usually people's first reaction is, yeah, but that's stupid. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's exactly what you need to do. And carry on, sorry.
I find that with so many distractions, it's derailing you from what you want to be and what you and who you really are.
Yes, because I do think that there's an internal something that is always trying to take you towards your potential, always trying to take you towards your fullness. But we are distracted. We are getting caught up in all the tips and tricks and strategies and the everyday life and, oh my God, I need to pay bills and children pulling you here, there, and everywhere and everything. And so, yes, when we stop to listen, there's always wisdom to know what to do next. It's just that you also have to learn to trust it.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of next, what are you working on now and what is next for you?
What I'm always working on is the Deliberate Millionaire Fast Track Club. It's an entrepreneurial club for creatives and entrepreneurs to support them. So I create a heck of a lot of content to put in there to help them put themselves out into the marketplace and also handle all their internal blocks and things. So for me, everything leads to that particular club. And then I work with people on a one-to-one basis as well. But mostly it all leads to the club because it's such an accessible place for anyone. Because one of the things I know that when I started in business was that I've paid out something like $100,000 or something to learn from coaches, to learn from mentors, to be around people that are doing what I wanted to do. And not everybody can do that. Not everybody can afford that. Not everybody has the courage I had to actually put themselves on the line in that way. So I created this space, which I call the Deliberate Millionaire Fast Track Club. And everything I do is really to get people into there because I know I can help people in there at a very affordable kind of way. So they're not worried about their debt and such, because that's definitely something I went through. And so they're able then to focus really all their attention on building a business, getting themselves to financial independence. And if they want to then go on to work with me on a more one-to-one basis, then they can afford to do that without it killing them ultimately. So for me, that's the big thing. It is the Deliberate Millionaire Fast Track Club. That is where Project 334K is gathering. That's where everything's there because I'm in there every single day supporting people. I don't think there's any club of its kind anywhere, if I say so myself.
Yeah.
Basically.
That sounds pretty cool. And what is the best way for the audience to get in touch with you?
The best way to get in touch with me is probably on my Facebook page. So it would be facebook.com/Rosemary Nonny Knight, or my site, which is rosemarynonnyknight.com. That's the best way to get in touch with me. The first step I would say is my freedom book. So it's one of the Deliberate Millionaire books that I wrote. So it's a Deliberate Millionaire Freedom book, which I'm giving away for free at the moment. It's actually, they can buy it on Amazon if they want to. But I'm giving it away for free at the moment. And they can get a copy of that at rosemarynonnynight.com/freedom book. And literally it goes into some of the stuff that I've talked about today, because I do believe, there are different areas of life where people need to be unblocked, need to look at so that they can be free. And also it gives them some tips, tricks, strategies for getting their business off the ground as well, and gives them different ideas for how they can do it in the most freedom and enabling way, basically.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And Rosemary, it was great having you on the show.
Thank you. It's been good speaking with you.
Yeah, it was always good speaking with me.
The other way around, man. Good speaking with me.
All right, well, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Cool.
And ladies and gentlemen at home, if you're watching this on YouTube, click on the subscribe button and press the bell notification right next to it for the latest uploads, because this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So go out there today and do something remarkable. How cool is that?